Hello, and welcome to Totally Schway Flipside, a podcast about whatever the hell I want it to be about. My name is Mary,
And my name is Luke.
and today I want to welcome you to the year 2025 from Flipside. And I want to talk about bit characters, so let's actually just get into it, yeah?
Do it.
I think so. I wanted to try to have Totally Schway, which is our main podcast over on Luke's channel.
Mm-hmm.
And this podcast, which is on my channel, kind of relate in a way. So we're talking about bit characters today. And on flip side, we're talking about bit characters from anything we want it to be about, except for the DCAU. And on Totally Schway, which is next week, we will be talking about the DCAU bit characters.
Correct.
And it's going to be hard, that one, if I'm being honest. I was actually talking to Luke about this when we were getting in the car from the shop. And I was like, it is so hard because there are so many good ones that I could choose from. Whereas when I talk about non-DCAU characters, it's a little bit harder because I'm like, I don't know. I have my favorite characters, but a lot of those are just main characters. So I give myself a tiny bit of a challenge. So I will let Luke start this time.
Oh, really?
I am being nice today.
Okay. Well, you've actually got more to choose from than me, but it's okay for me to go first, I guess. All right. So my first one. This one might seem a bit left field, but it is Principal Lewis from American Dad. Now, I did a video about the Batman's Joker, who was voiced by Kevin Michael Richardson. And I said in that video that his Joker role is one of his best performances, second only to his performance as Principal Lewis in American Dad. One of the things I really love about Principal Lewis is that when he was first in the show, he was very much a bland character.
Yeah.
It was very much like a traditional figure of authority, very normal person.
Yeah.
But over time,
one page.
Yeah, over time, they've started making him more and more deranged.
He's a maniac.
He is an absolute lunatic, drug-fueled, spends all his time with ladies of ill repute, let's put it that way. Mary I think Mary's mentioned this before, but in the evenings when she's trying to unwind, she likes to put on shows like The Cleveland Show and American Dad and Family Guy, just to kind of wind down, and while she's going to sleep, it's something for her mind to just casually listen to. But the problem is I'm wide awake through this, so I end up watching about 10 episodes of it, not through choice, it's just that's how many that will play before I fall asleep. And she recently watched the episode where Principal Lewis lost his job.
Oh God, yeah.
After now, if I remember rightly, it was because he left the I guess what do you call it? Like the intercom, at the school.
The intercom.
Yeah, the intercom at school. Okay, I thought there was a special name for it. Where the principal makes announcements. Yeah. He left it running while he described his life as a drug runner that was paid with underage. How can I phrase this in a PG way? I can't.
Yeah.
Basically, he's given girls to use.
Yeah.
And he went into great detail. He goes, and when I say girls, I mean little bitty things like that. It was so awful. Absolutely terrible. But one joke that really made me laugh is he's stolen a whole bunch of oranges for some reason. And a woman pulls up thinking that he's an orange seller. And I'm probably going to butcher this, but he basically treats it as if this is like she's propositioning him, and he says, you have to pay a certain amount to see it, and she eventually goes, all right, fine, goes along with it, thinking that he's going to expose his genitals to her, but he turns around and shows her his bottom, and he says, you thought those were, I forget the word he used for his genitals, but I'm just going to say genitals. You thought those were genital prices? No way.
Everything about, I think I would say past season 3. I think past season 3, maybe season 4, when he starts to actually become a lunatic. Those are like some of my favorite parts of American Dad.
Yes, yeah, and
I,
I just love this one episode as well where what was it? So I think Steve is told to like pick on the weakest person to seem tough,
yeah.
and he picks on like this special needs girl.
Oh no.
And Principal Lewis comes out and goes, "Who has hurt this precious lamb?" or something like that. And they go, it was Steve Smith." And he jumps and goes, and just kicks his head in.
One of my favorite ones is when they're best friends.
Yes.
Yeah, he goes in. That Steve goes into the teachers' lounge, and then Principal Lewis is just like, "Yeah, Steve belongs in here," or whatever.
Yeah, and he turns on him, doesn't he?
Yeah, I didn't realize because I'm just looking at the IMD. What do you call the IMDb page? I guess you would call a cast card or whatever.
His credits.
Yeah, his credits, and I didn't realize he was Goro.
Yes.
How?
Goro in the 90s Mortal Kombat movie, yeah.
Because I know of a lot of cartoon characters he has been and he still is.
Yeah.
And he's so wonderful. Like honestly, I think when American Dad and Family Guy and well, I mean the Cleveland show's already ended.
R.I.P.
Yeah, which that was one of my favorites. I think even after they end, that is the voice. Well, one of his many voices are what you're gonna remember, but definitely Principal Lewis.
Yes, he just adds like an abstract humor to the show.
It's always perfect timing as well. Like his comedic timing is great.
Yeah.
I love it. So my first one is a little bit different.
Go ahead.
So I love Grey's Anatomy. I think I've talked about it on here before.
You have.
I love Grey's Anatomy. It's one of my comfort shows. I know a lot of millennials, especially around my age, my exact age, really like Gilmore Girls and stuff like that. And I don't mind that, but my comfort is Grey's Anatomy. I do watch it every couple of years. I rewatch it, and every time I do, I sob, I laugh, I become a surgeon. But the character I'm going to talk about today is actually, if you want to really, if you think about it, is probably the most important character, and that's Boki. So Boki is one of the main scrub nurses on the show. But what is amazing about this character is that she can look at you as in like one of the main characters, and they'll be like, okay, I'll change my mind. I will change my mind. I will change my entire life. And it's just that look. And I like that because this woman is an actual scrub nurse in the real world. So that look that she gives those doctors in that show, it's like, you don't really know, but I do. I could do this surgery. I've been through it so many times. And I love the fact that you don't know a ton about Boki, but you know that she's a little sassy.
Just a little.
Just a little. And she's probably one of the smartest characters. Because they've got, with Grey's Anatomy, it's not just Grey's Anatomy, or at the beginning it wasn't just Grey's Anatomy. I remember they had the video game, which I've never played, I should. They had the web series, they had something about Joe's Bar, and the other characters that aren't in it so much used to be in these, and I believe Boki was in some of them. And I just love Boki. I know I'm going on about it, but that's this woman who plays this character is just an amazing woman, just full stop in the real world as well, and that makes it even better.
What is your favorite Boki moment, or at least what moment comes to mind first?
There's this one where it's where Derek is. They're talking about something that happened that morning. I believe it's McDreamy and McSteamy are talking about it, and they say something quite awkward I mean with every episode. But Boki just looks at both of them, and this is when I say that look, and she's like, "Tin blade" or something like that. It's just something so small, but you get the sass, and it's just the way that this actress is. It's wonderful. I'm totally giving like the best explanation ever, I know, but I love this character, and I don't think Boki's talked about enough.
Mhm.
So not only a joy to the show, but brings actual joy and care in the real life.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna go on to another character.
Yeah, go on then.
Someone a bit funnier, although both can be funny. Yeah. I was gonna talk about somebody else, but I'm gonna talk about Perry White before I talk about my third and fourth one. So when I say Perry White, you might be thinking, "Oh, Perry White. Who could she? Which Perry White? Uh, Lawrence Fishburne. Duh. Like who doesn't love Lawrence Fishburne as Perry White?
Yeah, he was good.
If you don't like him as Perry White, mind your business. And don't say anything to me because I love him. I absolutely I will watch anything Lawrence Fishburne is in. Um, I don't care if people think it's a good movie, a bad movie, or whatever. I will watch it. But when I saw Man of Steel for the first time, obviously Henry Cavill's portrayal of Superman and Amy Adams' portrayal as Lois Lane really gripped me. But although not a huge, character in the movie, Perry White made a difference to me. Like, because I still think about that sometimes to this day. And I think it was in 2011.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe after that. I can't remember when Man of Steel first came out, but I just remember being blown away by Lawrence Fishburne's portrayal of Perry White because it was different. It wasn't the same type of, like when you're typecast to do something. I think in some regard, if you have Superman characters, a lot of the time people play those characters as very charming and wholesome.
Mm-hmm.
Where I totally believe that Lawrence Fishburne's Perry White was definitely charming, wholesome, but also more realistic and down to earth. I made another joke in this podcast. Than some of the other, Superman characters that I've seen, in past things, and I love it.
One of the things I liked about Larry Fishburne's Perry White
Mm-hmm.
is you could tell a lot about his character just from the way he presented himself.
Yes.
So he might have worn a suit with a waistcoat and a tie,
mm-hmm.
but he had his sleeves rolled up.
Yeah.
And they were crumpled. He was, that's indicating he's a hard-working guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's not there. He's not just some suit sitting there pretending to look busy. He gets involved. And one of the things I really like, the little subtle character thing, is he still had a pierced ear with an earring.
Yeah. It's things like that. I'm going to interrupt you for a second.
Please.
Sorry. It's things like that I really wholeheartedly think comes down to Lawrence Fishburne and how much he actually cares about his portrayals. Because it is not there's not a movie or TV show that he has been in that I can think of where he hasn't done his all.
Mm-hmm.
And with that Perry White, if they would have made a Perry White movie, I would have been like, I'm down.
Or a series.
Yeah.
Perry Investigates.
Could you imagine?
Yeah.
Perry's Daily Planet or something like it needs to happen, guys. But yeah, Perry White.
Mm-hmm. I liked the guy that played him in The Adventures of Lois and Clark or whatever the show.
Sniffling, sorry.
It's okay. They probably couldn't hear it. The guy that played him in the TV series, the 90s TV series, a guy called Lane Smith, passed away in 2005, I just learned. Yeah. But I thought he was very charismatic and he was a very good Perry White as well.
So Terry Hatcher and Lane Smith, the only people, was it from the Lois and Clark that you're talking about? I don't believe that there are any other famous people from that TV show, so it's really awesome that the character, the Lois Lane and
Perry
White from that are just amazing.
Yeah.
No other, there was no Superman that I can remember.
Yeah. I'm sure Dean Cain isn't all that bad. He's a bit of a troll sometimes, isn't he?
Who?
Yes, quite. What was the name of the guy that played Lex Luthor? Was it John Shea? John Shea? I'm gonna look it up.
Remember.
Look it up.
That's not my grandparents used to watch Lois and Clark when it first came out, and I don't think I've watched it since then. I don't think I have, so I can't remember every actor actress in there.
John Shea, yeah.
Oh yeah,
I thought he was quite good too.
he's still alive, isn't he?
I think so.
Yeah, I think he's still alive. What a time to be alive.
Yes, it looks like he is alive. He is 75 years old, though, so that's what I said it looks like.
It's a time to be alive to be able to remember the Lois and Perry show. And yeah, I can't with that. I can't do it anymore. I know it's Lois and Clark, but I find it funny to forget Dean Cain exists.
So my next one is going to be obscure for American listeners, but I think British listeners will know who this is.
There's two that are going to be quite obscure.
Yeah, but this one is the less obscure of the two, or the least obscure of the two.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a character from Blackadder called Flashheart. Now, Mary, you might not even remember this because I know you've watched Blackadder like once, maybe 20 years ago.
And I had just got my first iPad mini, so I'm gonna be honest with you.
Probably wasn't paying attention.
I was probably reading about George Washington on Wikipedia.
Mm-hmm. Well, for those that don't know, so Blackadder is a comedy series starring Rowan Atkinson, also known as Mr. Bean.
And House.
Yes.
Hugh Laurie?
Hugh Laurie, yes. He was in at least 2 of the seasons.
But not the first one.
No,
right?
he wasn't in the first one. I don't think he might have had a guest role in the second one. In fact, I think he did have a guest role in the second one in the last episode. And he had a prominent role in the third and fourth. But Blackadder is a series about a character named Edmund Blackadder. And this is going to sound a little confusing, but each season is set in a different age with a different Edmund Blackadder. So the first one is set during the Tudor era. The second season is the Elizabethan era.
Mm-hmm.
Third one is Georgian. Yeah, because it was King George, that's right. And the fourth season is set during World War One.
I remember the third season because I don't think I actually watched the fourth season because I don't think I got to the WWs.
Yeah, and each Edmund Blackadder is not the same person. It's a descendant of the previous Edmund Blackadder. It's a comedy series, and Blackadder is kind of in the first season he's like this doofus, really awful, stupid character. But for the later seasons, he's very sarcastic and very clever, very devious, very witty as well. And he has a number of friends with him. And one of them is a character called Flashheart, played by the late Rick Mayall. And he is just bombastic, over the top, sexist, high energy, just completely the kind of guy that would kind of walk in and steal your girlfriend and you'd be glad because you were pleased to see him.
Many people like that in real life.
Yeah, probably. Well, Rick Mayall maybe, but but he would just come in and he doesn't just talk, he shouts everything. You know, I think he first appeared in the second season as kind of like a Sir Francis Drake type explorer that you had during the Elizabethan age. And he just comes in and goes woof instead of saying hello.
I just read something because I'm on the Wikipedia page because I actually wanted to remember which one Hugh Laurie was in, but I find it incredibly funny that a lot of English people talk about this series. Mm-hmm. But if you look into it, there's only 24 episodes and several specials. So it's not like it's like hundreds of episodes or something, but it's still made a massive difference.
Well, we kind of talked about this previously, didn't we? For those that do regularly listen to this show, British TV is very different because it's all funded with public money. They don't make shows with like the prospect of it being profitable in mind.
It's not like some Family Guy episodes are they have a certain theme. Well, I don't think it's a bad thing, but they don't have a certain theme because that's the advertiser of the week.
Yeah.
They have a theme because that's what organically came for the show.
Yes, and they don't receive, say, a 65 episode order for a series, and then have to do that every other year. They just make shows when they want to do it, when they've got ideas. They'll probably cap it at like 6 episodes so it doesn't get too expensive and it doesn't outstay its welcome.
And honestly, some of the best TV shows that I've ever seen, and I've watched a lot of TV. I'm a kid of the 80s and 90s. I have watched a lot of TV, but some of the best TV shows that the entire series is only 6 episodes. It's amazing. And some of those shows are some of the best because you get 6 episodes that are just phenomenal rather than 24 episodes for one season that are just subpar. And get to the story eventually, but oh my god, it's amazing. So Blackadder is very much like that.
Yes, and a lot of the comedy in Blackadder came from Tony Robinson's character Baldrick, who from season 2 and 3 and 4, he was kind of played as like a dim-witted, almost inbred servant type character that just didn't understand the world, but he always managed to get ahead somehow. In season 1, it was Baldrick that was the very smart and clever one, and Blackadder was the dim-witted one. But the roles were reversed for later seasons, or for the rest of the seasons, I should say.
Yeah.
But Flashheart was very funny, very bombastic. If you knew him in real life, I bet you'd really hate him. I bet we would really hate him just because he's so loud and so self-centered. He's not at all malicious. He's just like pure, just a pure personality, you know. Just, I guess you might say it's just pure id. He's just acting on his impulses.
Oh,
no filter. Yeah, Stephen Fry was in it. He was in the third one. Yeah. No, second one. Excuse me. The Elizabethan one. And how could I forget he was in the fourth one as was it General Melchett?
I don't know. I haven't seen the fourth. I know he was in the fourth one, but I don't know who he played.
Yes, yeah. And Blackadder's ending was exceptional, going off tangent, I should say, because it's obviously this comedy. In the final season, it's set during World War One. It's this comedy set there as Blackadder and Baldrick try and figure out ways of not getting killed.
Mm-hmm.
And in the final episode, they are told that they have to charge on the enemy, and they are absolutely certainly going to be killed. There's no way to survive it, because the tactic during World War One was keep throwing people at the Germans until they run out of ammo, and they just kind of sadly accept their fate and charge into death. Which, was very
noble.
I don't know if I call it noble. I feel like it was a stupid waste of life. But, they went and they did it, and it was a very big tonal change compared to the rest of the series, which made it very effective, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But that had nothing to do with Flashheart. But Flashheart, very funny, bombastic, over the top. If you ever see an English person like thrust their crotch and go, woof, it's a Flashheart reference. So who is your next one, Mary?
Bruce from Family Guy.
Oh, I see. So we're sticking to the Seth MacFarlane universe now.
Yeah. So I think that this character, I cannot remember how many different jobs he has had.
So just for people that don't know who Bruce is, perhaps you could say his most famous line and then they'll know who it is. Shall I do it?
Yeah.
Oh no!
Yeah. I love it so much. Oh my god, I love it so much. Oh no! That was terrible. Sorry.
Yeah. Record your oh no's, your best oh no's, and send them to Mary.
Or you could send them to me through TikTok if you like. That was a joke, by the way. That was the third joke I've made this podcast.
Someone's in a good mood.
No, I love Bruce, and every episode that he's in is just superior to others because I can't remember who actually does his voice, but he does multiple voices, doesn't he?
I think it might be Mike Henry. I think it is.
Maybe.
I'll look it up while you talk.
Yeah. So one of the things I love about Bruce is he reminds me of myself in a way because I've had, oh, it is Mike Henry.
Yeah.
I have had a few different types of jobs uh, in my lifetime. And it's just, he is so, it's like he's an expert at every one of them.
Yeah.
And like that, everybody's doesn't even question why he has a different job. It's just, oh yeah, there's Bruce. Of course Bruce is here. Why wouldn't he be?
There was there was an episode you were watching the other night, and you might have been asleep at this point.
Mm-hmm.
It's when Mayor West outlaws drinking under 50.
Yeah.
And Bruce is there with his partner protesting the age change, and Mayor West says to him, Bruce, why are you protesting? You're 52. And his partner looks at him, you said you were 39.
Yeah. I just love it.
Oh, no.
I just love it so much.
Oh, maybe we should have included Mayor West as a bit character.
Yeah, but I don't think Mayor West is a big character. I always saw him as a main character because he did end up being part of the Griffin family by the end.
Yeah, he wasn't in every episode though, was he?
No, but
You think
he
he's
was
too
there in
significant?
spirit as he is now.
Yeah.
You know, Mayor West.
Yes.
Yeah. So, you want to do another one?
Did you not have anything else to say about Bruce?
I don't have to say a lot about Bruce.
There's not much to say about him other than, oh no.
I think Bruce is kind of one of those perfect bit characters because it's not just a one-trick pony.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the right thing I'm trying to say. Because yes, he has his catchphrase and everything, but it's used in a different way a lot of the time, and I really appreciate that. And I also really appreciate it that it's not overly offensive like some characters on that show.
Yeah, and it's not a derogatory.
Well, I don't think it's offensive at all, but what I mean by overly offensive, like Hubert, for instance.
Herbert, Mr. Herbert.
I thought it was Hubert.
Maybe his name is Hubert Herbert.
Oh, maybe it is.
Mr. Herbert is what Chris calls him, Mr. Herbert. Herbert the pervert.
Yeah. So that's like really overly offensive. Whereas Bruce is just one of those characters that brings you a little bit of well, to me, it brings me a little bit of joy.
Mm-hmm.
Like that. And the fact that it is a openly gay character on a TV show that it's not seen as that is the main joke of it. Because when Bruce first started, I do think that it was going to go down that route, but it's kind of changed, and it's just, this is an openly gay character that is in the world of the rest of these characters, and it's not the butt of the joke every time, if that makes sense.
Yeah, his sexuality isn't the joke, it's the fact that he's in all these different roles, all these different places. Like they'll say to him, hang on a minute, didn't you used to work in the theatre while they're in the hospital? And it's like, yeah, I switched vocations.
I know that might seem like a small thing for me to actually mention, but a lot of gay characters in shows that started in like the 90s started out and were just the butt of the joke. Like their sexuality was the butt of the joke, and that was because it was seen as something funny, whereas this is just an openly gay character that has a ton of different jobs and has this really cool catchphrase. And I think it's really important that we mention things like that, because there was a time that show would probably get canceled.
It was cancelled.
No, yeah, but
twice.
Oh yeah, but like as in canceled, like as in people
you mean
didn't like it because there was like a gay character or something like that. Whereas I think that's not happened with this. That's not why it was canceled the 2 times it was canceled. But I really like the fact that Seth MacFarlane and his team have created all of these characters that are so different, but not all of them are like overly offensive.
Not all of them.
Some of them are very, 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 very not my taste, but that's fine. But yeah, I found out something about why I watch these TV shows. And apparently it has something to do with ADHD, or some people call it ADD, some people call it ADHD. Depends on kind of what era you're from. Um, and apparently, people that have such an active mind find it very hard to go to sleep unless they have a TV show or white noise or something to distract them. And I never really I always knew that was kind of like a distraction, but I didn't know like, oh hey, it's actually a lot more than that. So if you guys have any TV shows that aren't that are kind of funny or just very like you could have it in the background and not really care too much about it, suggest them. It might help me go to sleep one day. But yeah, I found that out recently through not only my therapist but a few different things that she sent me to read up about it, because I always thought it was wrong. Like, you're never supposed to watch TV past a certain time. Like, but why do I have TV in my bedroom then? Yeah. So who do you want to talk about now?
All right, my last pick, completely obscure. I don't think anyone, apart from maybe Connor from Play Content, if he still listens, will know this one. And it is Rog from Trapdoor. That's R-O-G, not R-O-B. Rog. Now, Trapdoor...
Like bug.
A little bit like a bog, yes, but Rog. Now, Trapdoor is a show I mentioned last time. It's a claymation animated series. Each episode was about 3 to 5 minutes long. Set in what is called the dark and nasty region where nobody goes. And it's about an overworked servant of a monster called the Thing Upstairs. The servant's name is Burke, and he has to make meals for him upstairs. And he sources food from a trapdoor in their basement, which worms come out of, and he usually makes food out of worms, but sometimes nasty monsters come out as well. And that's the premise of the series, him trying to get rid of the nasty monsters before him upstairs realizes and gets angry. And sometimes he would like knock the nasty monsters out and then send them up the dumbwaiter up to him upstairs, who thinks it's a meal and would eat them. But one of the creatures that comes up, one of the monsters that comes up, is Rog. And Rog is unlike the other monsters because he's actually very friendly. He's very kind. He speaks very slowly. He talks like that. Very slow. Very dim-witted. But he's friendly. And he's this massive, like, purple creation with big arms, big forearms and big hands. And his lower lip kind of curls over. And he befriends Burke. Burke really hates his guts, but Rog can't actually tell this because he's not smart enough to realise. And sometimes when other monsters came, Rog would turn up and he would help them out. So, for instance, there is... I forget the exact creature that it was that came in, but it had overpowered everyone. And Rog just turned up and hit them very hard and made them go away. And they were like, yay, good old Rog. I think perhaps the most famous episode is he befriends Boney, who is this talking skull that lives with Burke. And he takes Boney with him on a just to go for a walk.
Mm-hmm.
But Burke thinks that Boney's been kidnapped and he's panicking and he's like setting up to go out on this big adventure. But Boney is so enthralled with having someone new to talk to and these new places to see that he ends up talking Rog almost to death. And Rog takes him up to the top of the castle that they live in. And he's so bored by what Boney says that he actually falls asleep and falls from the top of the castle and lands on Burke. And then he's like, oh, hello, Burke. Oh, glad to see you. God, doesn't Boney talk a lot? And you can hear Boney still talking away, completely oblivious to the fact that Rog has fallen from the top of the castle. It's not a massively in-depth character, but I really like that show. It's all on YouTube. I think in the last episode I might have linked to it, or did I link to Connor's video about Trapdoor?
I don't know.
I think I linked to Connor's video. Maybe I'll link to all of Trapdoor, and then you can all sit down and watch it and go, why does anybody like this? Anything to add, Mary?
I've never seen Trapdoor. I know of it.
Yeah.
I've never seen it.
That's the most 80s theme song in the universe.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sing it for you. No, it's not that kind of show.
I didn't ask you to sing it for me.
So I think I've said enough.
Yes.
So why don't we go over to, is it your final one?
Yeah. So you've seen Spawn, right?
Spawn, the animated series.
Yes.
Directed by Eric Radomski, who worked on Batman the animated series.
It was on HBO.
It was on HBO.
Yeah.
And our pal Brad Rader worked on it as well.
Yeah,
He was a director.
I loved Spawn.
Yeah.
And we watched it, I say recently, it wasn't recently. It was we watched it again a couple years back, and it's one of those shows that you can. I was talking about The Godfather recently, wasn't I? Where it's like I find something new in it every time I watch it. It's the same thing with series like Spawn. There's something I fixate on, something different each time. And I think the last time was like the clown, but that's not who I'm talking about. I am talking about Todd McFarlane of Spawn.
Todd McFarlane, creator of Spawn.
And I don't know if it's because I have Todd on my brain at the moment, but how could you have the Spawn show without talking about the best bit character ever, Todd McFarlane?
So for anyone that hasn't seen the Spawn show, each episode would open with a live action segment that was filmed in like this comical set that was supposed to look like it was a spooky place, like a basement of a spooky castle. It looked like it was out of Trapdoor, frankly. But you'd have Todd McFarlane sitting there looking like a bloody goth poet.
I mean, isn't he?
No, I wouldn't say he is. But he'd introduce the episode. So he'd say, I'm Todd McFarlane, creator of Spawn.
Do you believe in ghosts?
And he would say something like, as Mary said, do you believe in ghosts, the supernatural, the people can live on after they die?
I think Todd has a really awesome voice, but no matter how much I try to mimic it, it's always comedic, and I don't mean it to be.
It does sound like we're mocking him.
I'm not mocking him. I think he's...
I'm not trying to.
I think the way that was done was... It's so different. I've not seen it done again, where you have this... the actual person that helped create this TV show actually explaining something and giving you little tidbits of it. Antidotes, if you will.
Anecdotes,
that's not antidotes, because I don't think I might have the venom, but there's no antidote for that. Again, that's something he might have said.
Yeah, but he'd be talking about a Spider-Man character he co-created.
Yeah, but what's the best thing about this is the fact that we know who this man is. We know what he looks like, and everything like that, because of that first minute of the show. Like, he's explaining it and he tells us who he is every time. And I think that is, well, first of all, I think it's really cool because otherwise we would be talking about it. But I also think that it's so different. And I think it added to the show, because you went from him giving, his little spiel, and then you went into the episode. But it always flowed perfectly, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, so Todd McFarlane was very influenced by Stan Lee, and Stan Lee very much made the creations be almost just as much be about him as it was the characters themselves, even though he was always the co-creator.
Yeah.
But Todd McFarlane graduated from that same school of thought. And so it's very much, when he markets his characters, he's also marketing himself. And that can set some people, it can put them aback, let's put it that way, particularly people that he works with. When Todd takes credit for something, that he hadn't necessarily done. He did write and draw Spawn.
Yeah.
He absolutely did. He created Spawn. He drew the comics for the first, what was it, year or so, something like that, maybe 2 years.
Yeah.
Before he then got Greg Capullo to do all the drawing. But if you speak to some people that have worked with Todd, dare I drop any names?
I am talking about great things about Todd,
Okay.
and you're just bringing bad things into it.
No, I'm not trying to bring
bad juju
I'm sorry.
in here.
I'm sorry. I'm not trying to slag off Todd McFarlane. I think Todd McFarlane's a very talented creator.
Yeah.
I buy a lot of his action figures from his toy company.
So one thing I want to mention about, I mean, I could mention so many things about the Todd father, as we like to lovingly call him in this household. I like the fact that you kind of mentioned it earlier. I mean, you did mention it kind of, that he not only promotes the show, but he promotes himself. And I find that how he started doing that, I mean, obviously because of other people showed him how to do things like that and all of that. But he has perfected it in such a way that he now has this wonderful company that does action figures from whatever the hell he wants them to be about. Like, if he wanted to, he could do Grey's Anatomy characters, you know? And I find that is such a wonderful thing, because if it just would have been Spawn, I don't think the company would not, I mean, the company would still probably be successful, but I don't think that it would be talked about in the way that it is without Todd being like the main character. I mean, he's a bit character in Spawn, but he is the main character in that part of the I was gonna say road, but that's not what I'm talking about. But in that part of life, he is the main character, and I find it's such a cool thing that he's done with the toy company. As far as other things, I don't know that much about Todd McFarlane. I do know about his the company and the love that he has for his actual like toy company, if that's what you can call it. And I really find that it takes a lot of talented people to get something to be that successful.
Yeah.
To the point that if he wanted to, he could make a character, any character, a toy, and I think it would be successful on some level, because it is Todd McFarlane's toy company. It's McFarlane Toys. And we know McFarlane is kind of a household name if you're of a certain era.
Yeah, if you have certain hobbies, then yeah, he is a household name.
Yeah, I feel like I struggled to get all of that out, and I didn't mean to. But I really, really like the bit character that Tom. That's the second time I've said Tom and Todd. I love the bit character that Todd played in Spawn. Mm-hmm. Also named Todd.
Yes, creator of Spawn. That's his full name. It's not Todd. It's Todd McFarlane, creator of Spawn.
I was washing my hands earlier when we first came in from we went to the mall today, and I came in, I washed my hands, and sometimes when I'm in a dark room, I literally, that's what comes out in my head. Hi, I'm Todd McFarlane, creator of Spawn. It just pops out into my head, and it's so cool. And I was just washing my hands in the dark thinking about that, and I was like, that is my favorite bit character. I've gone on about Todd too much. I feel like I'm sounding like some sort of fangirl or something. So shall we get to the comments? This is going to be a long episode.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, so first comment is from A1ML33Y. Hey. Julia Rowell, who says, "Hey Mary and Luke, I hope you're doing well and had a very merry Xmas." Now, this topic about the music in TV shows is something I can relate to, Mary. And for me, since I was a 90s kid, 2000s teen, and a lot of stuff that stuck with me was a mixture of licensed music and original soundtracks. Like for me, these are the ones that live rent free in my mind and on my playlist. This includes stuff from the 70s and 80s, like, for example, number one, the Hall and Nash NWO theme. Yeah, I know that one. The music from Pulp Fiction and Kill Bill.
Yep.
The original soundtrack for Spider Man 94. The soundtrack for Eon Flux.
Oh my God, that is one of my all-time favorite TV shows. And everything about that show. Everything.
The Shirley Walker music from Beat-Ass and Superman. They are so iconic. The DuckTales theme.
Ooh. Oh, good.
I listen to a lot of rap from Busta Rhymes, Wu-Tang Clan, Craig Mack, and Missy Elliott. I love the RoboCop soundtrack, and I love the Danny Elfman Batman music, and the Prince soundtrack. And lastly, I love me some 80s punk music, like Sue and the Banshees. I think I've missaid that, mispronounced that. How is it pronounced? See-you?
I think it's Sui Sue.
Sui Sue, is it?
I think so.
Okay.
Or Susu. I can't remember, but it's funny that I can't remember how to pronounce the actual like the name of the band, but I can hear the music playing in my head about 3 different tracks at the same time, because that's kind of what I was raised on in my early youth.
I think the 80s comics, when listening to this music, Steely Dan I kind of associate with the Wolfman and Perez New Teen Titans comics I read years ago. And I think there's a typo here. It says like Widow Babs. I'm not sure that's probably a typo. Like men at work with large 80s with the 80s X-Men during the Outback era. And Devo are kind of associated with Alan Davis illustrated Batman comics of the 80s post-crisis. I listened to lots of music when I would read my favourite comics, but I love the signature theme songs of characters in Spider-Man 94 and X-Men 92. Like, for example, Mr. Sinister has a creepy theme. Magneto has a powerful tune that tells you he is not what he's about. While over on Spidey 94, I love Venom Alien costume theme, Hobgoblin and Green Goblin theme, and Kingpin, to name but a few. I love Guardians of the Galaxy mobiles for what's on Star-Lord's Walkman. Oh, yes. Oh, movies, excuse me. Sorry, there's a autocorrect fail, I think. And love that my favourite rapper, Ghostface Killer, always makes Iron Man references and even calls himself Tony Starks. And funny enough, he made a song for Iron Man 2008 and even had a deleted scene. Anyway, forgive me for not being an anime nerd like Mikey P. But I'm very passionate about music and my favourite shows and that are memorable, and I have lots of warm fuzzies for the stuff that is made with love by people. Mikey P would not like it or approve because I don't meet his high standards. Anyway, Mary, I enjoyed this chat with you all. Till next time.
See, this is the thing about soundtracks and like themes from different TV shows and movies, is sometimes it's not an original theme. Sometimes it's not an original soundtrack. But when you associate certain music, or when you hear certain music, sometimes you associate that with a different TV show, even if it is something from like Dinah Washington. For me, I think of Teach Me Tonight at the end of one of the 6 Feet Under episodes. I find it so incredible that, being a millennial, we have so many different soundtracks from TV shows that can basically be our own little Spotify playlist in a way, before Spotify even existed. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, next comment is from Ryan Jones, who says, "Hello, Luke and Mary. I hope you had a good Christmas. I know I had a really great Christmas." Before I start, Luke, you misread the last sentence of my comment. Uh-oh. It says, "Mary, I'm sad that you have a fear of puppets, because if you don't, you probably love the Muppets like me. You'd probably love the Muppets like me. Now, the TV music that changed my life are the DuckTales theme tune, Darkwing Duck theme tune, Chippendale Rescue Rangers, Shirley Walker's Batman the Animated Series, Only Fools and Horses, Totally Spies 1 and 2, Scooby-Doo, Where Are You?, Looney Tunes theme, Rugrats theme, Brave and the Bold theme, the 80s Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles theme," I'm noticing a theme here, and finally, the best for last, the Muppet Show theme tune. For Christmas, I got lots of stuff like Epic Mickey Rebrush Collection, Collected Edition for the Switch, Sonic's Cross Shadow Generations for the Switch, Super Mario Party Jamboree for the Switch, Pokemon plushies like Sceptile, Spheal, and Weevil. Luke would like my next one's McFarlane the New Batman Adventures figure, as well as Batman the Animated Series Riddler and Joker figures with 2 pieces of the Build-A-Figure lockup. Christmas Mickey slippers, Inside Out 2 shoulder pets, Home Alone pajamas, and finally a Muppet mug and Muppet notebook. If you don't know what a shoulder pet is, they are small plushes that you put on your shoulder with a magnet, and they have done it with a lot of famous Disney characters. Now, there's a cartoon that I hate with a passion, and that's SpongeBob. The reasons why I'm talking about it because it has changed my life for the worst, because it's so weird and not in a good way, and I hate the theme tune, and also the SpongeBob SquarePants movie scarred me for life. The only reason I bought Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl because it's the only game that had Leo and Mikey from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Reptar from Rugrats, and they can beat up SpongeBob characters. Wait, there's an American version of Queer as Folk? I knew it as the UK version, created by Russell T Davies, the showrunner of David Tennant, Christopher Eccleston, and Nkuti Gatwa's era of Doctor Who. I have not watched Queer as Folk, but if the US version of it is good as well, that's a first for an American version of a British show. It's a good reason I say that, as historically American versions of British shows are rubbish, like The Inbetweeners, for example. Yeah, they did an American version of Red Dwarf as well that just completely got it wrong. Yeah, I
just can't see that being an American show.
I think Robert Llewellyn was the only person that from the original cast that went over to work on it.
Yeah.
And it was a big flop.
I just can't, because Red Dwarf is special because of the originality of it all. And I just don't see, like, if Americans want to see something like Red Dwarf, for instance, show Red Dwarf.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different with the Queer as Folk and stuff because they're completely different characters. They're not the same characters, but I can see something like that being okay. But when they try to do it, like when they tried to do the skins thing, in the States, almost like scene for scene. Oh gosh, no thanks.
Yeah, there's no point in doing a scene for scene remake.
Watch the original.
Anyway, next we have Lowell Lucas Jr., who says on a very special episode of Totally Schway, love and marriage go together like a horse and carriage. This, I tell you, brother, you can't have one without the other.
Oh, I can't believe I didn't even mention that.
Hey everyone, it's Totally Schway. Revved up your engines for a special TV-themed Sunday. Don't go away.
Yeah.
I wanted to wish you and everyone a very happy new year. I pray you all shared some holiday fun with loved ones or the sad individual alien who needs some Christmas cheer. Going into this with favourite TV show intro music, I love Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, Gummy Bears, Spider-Man, the animated series, Daria, Married with Children, In Living Colour, The Critic, Tiny Toon Adventures, The Muppet Show, and Jim Henson's The Storyteller. There's more, but I think I listed enough.
Can't believe I forgot those two. How could I forget Married with the Children and Daria?
Ones I hate, Blossom, Frasier, Everybody Loves Raymond, Friends, HBO's Oz. Soundtracks for background music, Thundercats, Sailor Moon and Evangelion. Nostalgic, Batman Beyond, BTAS, closing theme to Half Gun Will Travel, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, 87, and Duckula, to name a few. To Luke, Count Duckula was an amazing show, intro by Thames. Fun fact, when the Nickelodeon execs flew to the studio, they saw some Duckula concept art hanging up and said, I want this TV show. Later, it would debut for Nickelodeon, and technically was the first Nicktoon. I too also enjoyed Super Ted, still own my VHS copies. Beware of Nanny. Oh, get it! There's a quote from Duckula there for you.
I know.
Thanks for the link, Luke. I'll totally watch it. To Mary, I'm more than happy to bring a smile to your face with my jingles. It was a lot of fun, and I was touched you dedicated days to bringing Luke such great gifts. Keep being an awesome partner and cram to your hubby. Thanks so much for the amazing coverage all this time. I'll be having my eye surgery and going to be healing for some time. Please keep me in prayers. I'm still enduring some teeth extractions, and half my face is still numb, sadly. Take care, y'all.
You're always in my thoughts. I literally, sometimes when I'm feeling a little bit down in the past couple of weeks, because in full transparency, I've not been in the best mood. I'll go back and I'll look at your jingles and it brings a smile to my face. So I really, really appreciate that. And I will be thinking of you and your surgeries that are all going to go well, by the way.
So next we have Harry Flew TV, who says, hello, Luke and Mary. I hope you're doing well. And you've had a great Christmas. And I hope you've had a happy new year. My favourite theme songs are the Eddsworld theme tune, the BTAS theme, The 13 Reasons Why. Intro theme. Songs that drive me crazy are Barney the Dinosaur's I Love You song and the intro. And the hot dog song from Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. I would have to hear that song every day while I was stuck in the hospital, and the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse show was the only show on TV that I was into at the time, next to SpongeBob SquarePants, which would only play one new episode and a lot of reruns. Yeah, our niece, she used to listen to that hot dog song. She had a Mickey Mouse toy that...
Don't even get me started on that, because she even had that... I almost
dancing...
swore. I had to stop myself from swearing. I do apologize. But she had this mechanical Mickey Mouse thing.
Yeah, first off, to the hot dog song.
Yeah, first off, I hated it because it moved like a puppet. And obviously I don't like puppets. And number two, every time you walked past it, it would start to sing. And I just never again. I have such angst because of that.
So if I went, hot dog, you just like stop it. Anyway, continuing the comment. Another intro song I love is the Ghost of Molly McGee theme song, as well as the Batman Superman Adventures theme, though it didn't play during the S-Test World's Finest episode. Some songs I really enjoy listening to that just relax me but get me emotional are the little guitar hymn song in the end of the Netflix The Babysitter from 2017, the flute theme in Roald Dahl's The BFG audiobook starring, and one of them being read by Jeffrey Palmer. The Babysitter one makes me emotional because it gives me vibes of keeping expectations low but hopes high in a relationship, whether platonic or romantic, which could fit the tone of BTS's Birds of a Feather episode. And sometimes I listen to the song, I just start crying, not just because of past friendships and relationships, but it's also because it's a beautiful and underrated little tune. There's also the sad piano tune at the end of the Teen Titans Things Change episode, which I wish the people who made that theme released it officially. They may very well do relatively soon-ish. What season was Things Change in? Because I think they've done the first 3 seasons of Teen Titans soundtrack, I think. And I'm sure the Dynamic Music Partners will be releasing more of them. They are regularly releasing content digitally. They've done 3 seasons of Teen Titans, 2 of Batman Beyond, and 1 of Justice League Unlimited. And every time they release them, I send a little teary message to Christopher Carter, because he's the only one that talks to me, saying, please, where is Bullet for Bullock and the rest of the Adventures of Batman and Robin and the new Batman Adventures and Superman Adventures?
I would love that as the Bullet for Bullock one, as an actual record, like a vinyl.
Yes, it would be wonderful. And he laughs every time I say it. Like, haha, I enjoy your pain. Yeah, maybe. Anyway, moving on. David Carney says, hi, Mary and Luke. I've been watching wrestling since I was young. The Hardy Boy theme to the 90s, which is currently being used by TNA. Also, Joe Hendry's song in TNA. I believe in Joe Hendry. That one. Red Dwarf is one of my favourite shows. I agree 100% with you, Mary, regarding DuckTales. Hope you both had a wonderful Christmas and a happy New Year.
That's why we're good friends.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we're good friends. It's because when you hear, it brings so much to you, and sometimes it's good, but most of the time it's just overwhelmingly no thank you.
Speaking of no thank you, next we have... I'm joking.
You better not say Mikey P.
It is.
Mikey P is one of my favorite people.
I know. I was only joking.
You better not. You better mind your business.
Anyway, Michael Andre Parlon says, late again. Sorry, the algorithm didn't remind me of this in launch, and I think the comic got shadow banned. More spamming, I'm sure.
That's been happening. That's been happening so much recently. Is comments just aren't showing up.
Maybe the comments are too long. I don't know. Might have to try.
Shush.
No, I'm being serious. Maybe they are too long and they just want you to truncate them. But anyway.
The longer the better.
TV music. If we're talking shows from the West, there are kind of uncommon but not rare personal favourites. Example may include the soundtracks of Adventure Time, Steven Universe, a select amount from the otherwise controversial Star Wars versus the Forces of Evil, and Music Meister episode of Batman the Brave and the Bold, among others. However, anime, video games, and some movies are a different thing entirely. If I have to name names, there's Dan Wentz, Free Space and Red Faction, Deus Ex 1 composers like Alexander Brandon, who also did Unreal Gold and Unreal Tournament 1999, Star Wars TIE Fighters iMuse compositions, along with the rest of LucasArts' retro itinerary, A lot of Halo tracks, even 4 is some good enough tracks, but not as significant as, say, Halo Wars, Insignificantia, and Spirit of Fire. Yoko Kanno, too many to name, so I'll instead mention only The Visions of Escaflowne and Ghost in a Shell standalone complex. Some Warhammer 40k Dawn of War tracks. Dawn of War 1 tracks, excuse me. The unit quotes enamored me more, though. In the words of the Imperial Guard's Basilisk, "Shatter their sky!" Yuki Kajiura, Noir and Puella Magica Madoka Magic. Susumu Hirasawa, collections of the late director Satoshi Kon and on works like Millennium Actress and Paprika. Kao Otani, the Heisei Gamera film trilogy, Outlaw Stars, The Otherwise Flawed Gundam Wing, Highbane, Renmei, and Shadow of the Colossus. Koei Tanaka, Gunbuster and Diebuster. Gundam works like Mobile Fighter G and the Gao Gai Ga saga. Takuru Iwasaki, Read or Die, and Tengen Toppa Gurren Langan. Hiroyuki Sawano, Kill la Kill, and Promare? I'm going to say Promare. The tracks of Steins Gate, Hong Cargo Tea Time, the compositions from Review Starlights, Cuckoo Gummy, ongoing stuff by Evan Call, Fryrin, oh my good lord, the Ace Combat 4 and 5.0, plus maybe even 6X and 7, and Project Wingman OTSTs, that Calliope renditions of Girls Just Wanna Have Fun and Otherwise Flawed Bioshock Infinite, some tracks in stealth games like the Thief Original Trilogy, Splinter Cell 1 and Chaos Theory and Hitman, particularly the ones by Jesper Kidd, role-playing game tracks for titles like the Western Seaboard Fallouts, and Mass Effect Trilogy, and the Shadowrun Returns Trilogy, and the soundtracks to the first 2 Captain America and Guardians of the Galaxy MCU films. That was a long tract. Yes, it was. I've actually left off some examples, lest it becomes too big. Anyway, do give them a listen, even if you guys haven't tried out the media themselves. The first DuckTales cartoon is from 1987, by the way. Highly recommended the Moon theme from the very good video game, remastered included, and the 2017 reboot. I know Red Dwarf, I just don't plan on binging it any time, unlike contemporaries Babylon 5 and Stargate SG-1. I also know about Sliders and Farscape, just have no plans to binge either. Well, if you decided to binge every episode of Red Dwarf, it would probably take you half as long as it would watching every episode of Babylon 5, because each episode was only 25 minutes and there were only, about 60 of them? But anyway. 1530 sounds like something out of the Telltale Sam and Max games and The Curse of Monkey Island. The events happened, but never on screen. Beats Community Season 4's ghastly excuse anyway. The classic BTAS intro. Some still think those 2 guys were just passing by and were admittedly innocent. They were just spooked by the GCPD and Batman. Yes, that's why they pulled guns on Batman and he beat them up. By the way, Luke, thanks for reminding me of the trapdoor. Thinking of that as a fair trade for the mentioning lots of shows, movies, and games lately, and can confirm all the episodes are on YouTube as of writing this. None unavailable. Gotta love the intro for MASH, the old dragonfly-like helicopters, and the doctors getting their new patients really says a lot about the shows, just like how BTS does things. Anyway, sorry for not being by the books on Mary's categories, my mind is a jumble. Sorry, Mary, not into dubstep. Also, relax, Luke, I also watch undubbed takes of dubbed anime at times. Plus, I can guarantee that the dubs I watch are at best superlative. I'm glad you said that because it was keeping me up at night, worried about you listening to dubbed.
I don't mind dubstep, but I have very much, although it's not my main form of music, I think I prefer 90s techno music.
Also, again, as a counterpoint, stuff like Cowboy Bebop, FLCL, and Panty and Stocking, Peek Me, and many others more in dub form. 3926. I didn't actually think of that. Whoops. I don't think anyone liked the sequel to Romancing the Stone, not even its actors.
No, I don't think they did.
4244. Bottom. Got it. Wait, that's it? The title? Yes. 4528. Was it Bad Santa? I don't think Elf is the best Christmas flick. 5544. If it's The Lion King 2 or 1.5, then that's fine. I actually like those films despite their imperfections.
I like The Lion King. Well,
these are the sequels we're talking about.
Oh, okay. I haven't actually seen. I don't think I've seen the sequels.
No, they were direct to DVD sequels.
I like The Lion King. There's a specific reason why I like The Lion King, but yeah.
5229. What? Scarface is surely daunting, but not as scary as, say, Chucky from Child's Play. That's the thing about the Muppets Christmas Carol. Even if anyone isn't into the Muppets or Charles Dickens literature, the movie still works its charm. The Sonic the Hedgehog movies aren't masterpieces, but I do see why they have their fans. Helps that they're quite watchable compared to whatever movies the DCEU and MCU did later. Yeah, Thor the Dark World was a bit lackluster. At least Loki stole the show at times, just like in the first film. That reminds me, I haven't seen Inside Out 2, mostly because of fears it'll be overhyped, and as we're now seeing with Moana 2. Then again, such films might become vindicated by history, just like Monsters University. Julia's into good feathers. A surprise to be sure, but welcome one. For now, bright and dark themes, I'm gonna surprisingly quote a recent Hell of a Boss song, roughly. Anyone will be okay, just not say today. Well, time to expect the New Year's, plus the overly loud fireworks and automobile horns interrupting my sleep and scaring our pet dogs.
Oh, I love fireworks. I love the way they look, but I hate when they are are done in, see, over here in Whitstable, where I first moved, they do it on the water. Like a lot of the fireworks that they do down there on the water, and you can hear it, but it's obviously from afar. Whereas where we live now, which I'm not going to say where we live now, um, people do it in our parking lot. Or they probably don't do it in our parking lot, but it sounds like they're doing it in our parking lot. And there are lots of dogs and cats around here, and foxes, and it scares the poo out of them, and it's not very nice, is it?
No, it's not very nice and it's kind of irritating, but anyway. Next we have the Phantasm, who says, "My, you certainly have quite a bit of reading to do before you get to this comment." Yeah, tell me about it! Anyway, I wanted to wish you a happy new year, even though it'll have been almost 2 weeks since New Year's by the time you read this. I know I said I don't really go out of my way to watch a lot of Christmas movies or specials, but I actually ended up watching It's a Wonderful Life for the first time, which I absolutely loved. And I'm going to quote Bruce Wayne here when I say, it has its moments. Final comment comes from Doc Widener, whose first comment actually didn't come through for whatever reason. Perhaps he's been doing the same thing Big Mikey P has. So he emailed it to us. He says, "Thank goodness you're here." And by the way, I did actually buy Thank Goodness You're Here in the sale, and I've downloaded it on.
Mention that.
Yeah, it's downloaded on the console, ready for you to play it, Mary, when you're ready.
I was going to mention that on the podcast, so I can tell Doc that. Thank goodness he told me about that.
You haven't played it yet?
We downloaded it.
Yeah, we downloaded it. I haven't played it yet. But anyway, you take the good, you take the bad, you take them both, and there you've had the facts of life. Not sure it changed my life, but stuck in my brain all my life.
Mm-hmm.
Much like Mary and DuckTales.
Yeah.
It is kind of sad that there is a decline in shows having theme songs, despite Luke preferring the Lost intro. I never said the Lost intro. I didn't actually like Lost very much. Anyway, Northern Exposure had great music, and the licensing of that has made getting the original versions of the season hard to get. And let me plug Creature Commandos again, which has a great theme song, and James Gunn has an ear for music I like. We actually watched that this week.
I did. I liked all of the music, especially the there was a song that it was Spanish, wasn't it? A little bit of it was in Spanish.
Possibly. Is it the Dr. Phosphorus song?
I think so.
That played during his flashback.
No, not that one. It was one of the earlier episodes. I loved it, except for the People Are Strange. I did not like. I'm a huge Doors fan, and I can see why people would like it, but I just love the original.
Mm-hmm. I may have mentioned it in a comment before, but the X-Files, which has a memorable theme song, absolutely ruined the Johnny Mathis version Wonderful Wonderful for me. They used it in the episode Home and used it very effectively, so that I can only associate it with that episode. Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. Two kids shows from when Sergey was little stick in my brain. The Backyardigans, and most especially the short-lived Noggin Show, Jack's big music show. It introduces kids to all different kinds of music, and I was going to recommend it. Maybe Luke could watch a clip or two on YouTube, and then have Mary only listen to it because it is live-action puppets. Dun, dun, dun.
I know exactly. I know the show. I know of the show.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember if it was Brad that watched it or not. It was probably Brad that watched it. But but I know the show.
I actually have a Disney Afternoon soundtrack CD somewhere here in the house. Mark Muller composed and wrote the lyrics for DuckTales and Rescue Rangers. Check out his Wikipedia entry. He has some pop music credits you may recognize, if not the songs, at least the artists. Red Dwarf, I know. Do not know the other shows Luke mentioned. I like the sound of the Teddy one. Super Ted, yeah, it's excellent. I wonder if Bulk and Skeleton from Power Rangers, excuse me, Bulk and Skull from Power Rangers are derived from that. The Bulk portion is what sticks out to me. Could very well be. You never know. I love the Animaniacs commentary on the morality lessons in cartoons. Wheels of morality, turn, 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 tell us the lesson that we should learn. Yes, that was very good. I imagine Randy Rogel wrote that little jingle because he wrote all of the jingles for Animaniacs. I read an interview with him recently. As I've mentioned before, I'm still working my way through the 5-volume Batman the Animated Interviews book series. I'm on the 3rd book now. And Randy Rogel talked about how after he finished up on BTAS, he went over to work with Steven Spielberg on Animaniacs, and Spielberg basically said to him, "Yeah, just write as many songs as you can, do them. We'll make them all." Series finale music, many good choices, and the end of the Americans' use of "You Choose With or Without You," but not sure how many folks watched that. I do think, given that Luke has mentioned the series on, you may have seen it's when played "Way Down in the Hole." Oh, yes. By the Blind Boys of Alabama from the finale of The Wire. So perfect. Yes, we mentioned that song, didn't we?
Mm-hmm. I I loved that TV show. I don't know if I actually mentioned that when I spoke about it, but I loved The Wire.
I always preferred The Shield over The Wire, and they were both on around the same time. But anyway.
Yeah. Oh, I love The Shield as well.
While not a TV series, the anime version of Metropolis had a painfully beautiful scene at the climax of the action set to Ray Charles' song "I Can't Stop Loving You." Yes, to Fallout Fix It for Fallout and the Fallout 2 mod that restored things like the EPA. Disagree about Fallout 3. Yes, it is different from the past games, and if you only play the main story, it is a little linear. But if you decide to explore the world, there are lots of fascinating little side quests or stories that are there if you look. I recommend many a true nerd's YouTube defense of Fallout 3. I liked Fallout 3. I booted up, I mean, this was a couple of years ago now, it's probably pre-pandemic, but I booted up the PS3 and put in the Game of the Year edition so I could play through the main campaign, platinum it, and do some of the DLC as well. I don't think I finished them all, actually.
I think that in the PS3, I think that is probably, if it was a disc, was it a disc?
Yeah.
I think it's still in the PS3.
It may no, Wolverine is in there
Oh,
because that was
okay.
the last thing I played before I unplugged the console to make space for other stuff. But anyway,
I wonder who made you do that.
Yeah, no names. Sorry, autocorrect messed up Unsinkable. The name of the film was The Unsinkable Shecky Moskowitz. Thank you for confirming. The downside of living in a city where films get set. Lived in DC for almost a decade, and there are all kinds of movies where I have the same reaction Mary had to Thor the Dark World. Quick story, they did a couple of movies around here, Central Ohio, when I was in high school. Nick Nolte's Teachers was filmed at the old Central High School in Columbus. I was too young, but some of my friends' older siblings and their cars were extras in the exterior shots of the school and some hallway scenes. The kids, not the cars. Yeah, I gathered that. But I like to entertain the idea that, like, listen, kid, you've got a great looking car. Just park it on the side here. We'll run it up and down, and we'll give you $50. What made me think of this is another film they made around here, Mischief. If you read the synopsis, it is every teen movie from the 80s. Anyhow, they have a scene at Rock Mill, which is an old mill and a covered bridge about 10 minutes from my house. They walk back into town, which was filmed in Nelsonville, Ohio, which is 38 miles away. Sergey calls Nelsonville Radiator Springs because about 15 years ago the state built a bypass around it. It used to be a bit of a speed trap and definitely was a choke point between Columbus and Athens, Ohio. But with the bypass, they knocked probably 20 minutes or more off the trip. But just like the interstate devastated Radiator Springs, the bypass has been really hard on Nelsonville. We go there from time to time because Rocky Boots are headquartered there, and they have a factory outlet store there. But most of the other businesses are gone.
I have a thing about Ohio. I actually know a little bit about Athens, Ohio, but it's mainly because of the archery world. My great grandmother, so my my grandma's mother was a well-known archer, and so was my great-grandfather, and they did a lot of archery there and in Oklahoma, and I have a few newspaper articles from uh, Athens, Ohio, talking about that. So every time somebody mentions Ohio, I'm like, I know something about Ohio, kind of.
You mentioned Romancing the Stone, Eddie Grant of Electric Avenue fame. I think Luke is at least old enough to know that song. I do. It gets played a lot in adverts over here for like electronic stores.
Electric Avenue.
I believe that's the one.
Can make it higher.
Yeah, anyway. He did the pop song Romancing the Stone for the movie a la Kenny Loggins' Footloose for Footloose. That seems to have been an 80s and 90s thing that isn't done much anymore. Prince had that whole album and character he created for Batman 89, yeah, like with Bat Dance and stuff, and Party Man.
One of the absolute best music videos of life.
What, the Bat Dance one?
The Prince one.
Yeah,
Bat Dance. Yeah.
Where it's him with his half Batman, half Joker, and
the best.
Yeah. I am fond of the Batman Forever album, at least some of it. The missus is fond of Seal's Kiss from a Rose.
Yeah.
I like U2's Hold Me, Thrill Me, Kiss Me, Kill Me. I also like Batman Returns' use of Susie. That was the Banshees Face to Face song. This is who we talked about.
Oh, Sue. I think it's Sue. I'm probably again
Susie.
Which one is it?
He's written it phonetically. Susie.
Okay, Susie. Like I said, I can tell you about 3 different tracks playing in my head from them, but I can't.
I like that song. Face to Face. Can't remember anything else of it. But it was on the end credits, and they had it in the ball scene, didn't they? Where Selena Kyle was going to shoot Max Schreck, and then the penguin burst through the floor. Yeah. Anyway, I thought it was well used in the film and quite haunting. I agree. Would love to see at some point 3 favourite pop songs in either superhero films or films in general. Though honestly, I think you could limit it to Batman films. I know Luke is fond of I Never Even Told You.
Doc, I hope you can hear me typing. I'm taking that from you.
She's doing it. She's literally writing down favourite music of Batman films. What about favourite pop songs? That was the other one. Okay, so that's 2 episodes. That's a month's worth of Flipside episodes sorted right there and then. We were running out of ideas.
How was the other one phrased?
Favorite pop songs used in films.
Oh yeah. Oh, like that. Yeah.
Yeah, she's doing it. It says pop songs used in films. There we go. Perfect. 2 more. All right.
God.
Those are all the comments. My throat is so sore.
Yeah, so I'm going to tell you what next week's episode is going to be about, and it's going to be a little bit of a theme for the rest of the year, and maybe for the rest of the time that we do this podcast. And what I am going to do is Luke and I are going to watch TV shows that we have not watched before, are movies that we have not watched before, and we are going to tell you what we think of them. But with the TV shows, it's only going to be the first episode. And we are going to start with Smallville.
Oh, no.
And I'm going to tell you why. Michael Rosenbaum. Duh.
All right, fine. Oh, actually, John Glover's in it as well. So okay, I should. He plays a menacing Lionel Luthor though, and I don't feel like John Glover's menacing. He's too lovely.
We could talk about that.
All right.
In 2 weeks' time.
In 2 weeks' time, we'll be like, oh, he was so menacing.
He was so cool. All right, I love you guys, and Happy New Year. And I was going to say something silly about Gilgamesh, but I looked over and he's not there anymore. He is probably begging for chickens. So I love you guys, and I will talk to you guys next week when we are on Totally Schway talking about DCAU bit characters.
Yes.
I love you guys. Have a good day. Bye.